thank you all for coming today. I'm going to introduce, this is the Spirit Trackers team. They were founded in 2011 by best friends Dylan and Daniel. Since then, the team has investigated many different locations throughout the United States and have appeared on many different podcasts and have spoken at different paranormal events. Dylan and Daniel also produced the annual Dickens Horror Film Festival and founded and host the Full Spectrum Paranormal Podcast. So without further ado, we'll let them start the class.
Thank you. So thank you guys for showing up. We're excited to be here. I'm sure you guys are excited to be here as well. And as I said, we formed the team back in 2011. We've been all over the state to multiple other states as well doing paranormal investigations. We do a lot of paranormal research, education, and outreach. We love talking to people, love sharing our experiences, sharing what we've learned with people, and listening to what other people have experienced and listen to what other people want to teach us as well. We're very open-minded about that. Para-unity is one of our biggest values as a team. We want to be united with the rest of the paranormal world. It's not about us being the next Ghost Adventures, us being the next TV show superstars of the paranormal. Not about us trying to go out there to capture the best piece of evidence that's going to blow everybody's mind and make us the most famous team out there. We're doing this for fun. We love what we do. We want to go out there and figure out what is going on. And we want to be able to share with you guys some of what we figured out, some of the things that have worked for us, some of our knowledge that you guys might not know, but we also love getting feedback from people too and hearing what you guys know and your thoughts and theories that we might not have looked at either. And I'm Daniel, by the way.
Dylan.
Speak up.
I'm Dylan.
And so we have a talk today for you guys. If you couldn't figure it out, that's why we're all sitting here or standing here. And this title isn't really though. So when you guys go to a paranormal conference or you guys go to a ghost hunting 101 class, you're going to get a lot of people that teach you kind of the basics on how to do evidence review, the basics of what to look for, what to kind of keep in mind when doing investigations. We want to dive into it a little bit more in the basics through our years of experience and kind of get you guys to think critically about how you review your evidence and how to keep credibility at the front of your mind and at the forefront of everything you do in the field of paranormal research. Because credibility is the most important thing in the field of paranormal research.
Absolutely. All right. So we're going to be talking about credibility, and the first thing we're going to talk about is the definition of the word. It's a little bit important. Okay, so there's two different definitions to the word credibility. The first is the quality of being trusted and believed in. Obviously, this is very important because as a paranormal team, or really as anything, as an organization in general, you want to be believed, you want to be trusted. The second definition is the quality of being convincing or believable. Now that kind of goes hand in hand with being trusted, but also this is more towards you're actually showing that you can be trusted, and you're showing why you can be trusted.
And when it comes to credibility, as most of you know, there are so many people out there that do not believe anything about the paranormal. They're hardcore skeptics going to be trying to debunk anything and everything you show them. So one of the things we want to kind of help you with our talk today is how to approach your evidence review from so many angles that you're one step ahead of all the critics and all the people trying to debunk it. And showing what you've done to prove and be able to say that this is something paranormal that we can't explain. We want you to be able to look at all the different angles, all the different resources available to you to be able to have a solid grip on being trusted and believed and being convincing and believable in the evidence that you show. Because in the field of paranormal research, if you lose your credibility, if you show something that's not paranormal and you stand behind it 100% that this is paranormal, this is paranormal, this is paranormal, and then it's proved to not be, you've just lost all your credibility and nobody's going to believe you again. No matter how hard you try, no matter how good or convincing your evidence is, nobody's ever going to believe you once you've lost your credibility that what you're showing them again is now paranormal. Even if what you're showing them is the golden egg, the golden ticket that unlocks the world of paranormal secrets to us. If you've lost your credibility before that, it's going to be super hard to get anybody to believe you again.
Basically, your goal And what we're going to be teaching in this is that you'll show a piece of evidence, and a skeptic will say, okay, what about this? And you'll say, all right, I actually have that for you in just a moment where I talk about that, and it's already answered.
So how do we build credibility?
All right, so as we talked about before, people are inherently disbelieving. A lot of people are skeptics. So the odds are already stacked against us in showing evidence and talking about the paranormal and dealing with anything with it. Really all we have is our history of credibility, and that's all that we can really present. And also important is how you present yourself, okay? So you're showing this evidence, you're going to be going through your process of showing how you believe it's paranormal and how you can show that it's paranormal, and presenting yourself professionally and credibly. Okay, tale of two teams. So let's say we have Team A and we have Team B, okay? Team A is made up of absolute believers. No matter what, it's paranormal. If it's a picture of dust, it's a paranormal orb, okay? It's a spirit. On the other side, you have the skeptical believers. We understand that the paranormal exists, okay? We understand that all of this is real. However, we also go out of our way to still maintain that skeptical aspect and still be able to say, okay, is this actually paranormal? Or is there some sort of an explanation that we can figure out first? And also, you have your Team A, your ghost hunters, that go out, they do this for fun, it's hobbyists. Obviously, we all want to go out and do it for fun. But on the other hand, you have your paranormal investigators. Yes, going out for fun, doing it as a hobby, all of that stuff, but put a lot more effort and a lot more thought into everything we're doing.
And going along with that, are you a fad follower, or do you think for yourselves? And what I mean by that is, are you going to be going along with everything that you see on the TV shows, everything that Hollywood's telling you, everything that you're reading online? Oh, they believe this is what they said, this has to be true? Or are you going to try to think for yourselves and think through that and go, wait a minute, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Let's approach it from a more critical perspective and think through it and think for yourselves. And through your own history, your own research, and your own experiences, be able to formulate your own beliefs and your own theories as to how things work and be able to back those up instead of just going out in front of people and talking to your friends and saying, well, it has to be real because Ghost Adventure said it was real. Didn't you see that episode? Ghost Hunter said it was real. Didn't you see that? This TV show said it was real, so it has to be. So you have the ghost hunters, you have Team A who they watch all this stuff on TV, they watch all their popular YouTube channels, all their Hollywood renditions of paranormal investigation. They go, that's how it must be. I know when I got my start in paranormal investigation back in 2010, I read a book and it's like, oh, this location, this would be fun to go to. Cell phones get messed with, and in this one corner of the building, there's always a cold spot that people feel. So I grabbed one of my friends, we went down there to check it out. I was telling him all about what I'd read in this book, and I'm fully expecting my cell phone to be going crazy, and I'm fully expecting to find this cold spot. And I was rather confused when I walked out of that building after we just kind of walked around. It wasn't an actual paranormal investigation. We just went there to kind of check it out and walk around to see what this was all about. But I left going, there was no cold spot, but people kept saying those cold spots are. And my cell phone was just fine. How about your cell phone? He goes, yeah, my cell phone was just fine too. So I was rather confused and bummed going, the book said so.
Right.
Having gotten almost a decade of experience later, I know that's one person's experience. Just because they experienced it, this is what happened to them, doesn't mean that's going to be what's happening to us. You can go to a location like Waverly Hills, like the Stanley Hotel, that people have all these experiences in, and you might spend the whole night there, you might spend a whole week there and not have anything happen to you. Or you might just go there for like 10 minutes and walk through, and you might take one picture and capture full-bodied apparitions on the staircase. You never know what's going to happen. In the field of paranormal research, there's no hard and fast rules set, no hard and fast laws set yet that we all have to go by. We're all figuring that out for ourselves as we go and working together to try to figure out how this all happens. And then one of the most important things to keep in mind in the field of paranormal research and what we keep in the forefront of everything that we do is be married to the truth, to finding the truth, and don't be married to proving an idea. And what we mean by that is if you go out into the field and you're married to the idea of proving that ghosts exist and proving the skeptics wrong, well, now you've put yourself into a win-lose situation. Because either you're going to prove that ghosts exist and you're going to be victorious, or you're going to go out and everything's going to prove that ghosts don't exist and now you're defeated and all your credibility is out the window. Or if you're married to the idea of proving that ghosts do not exist, again, vice versa, you're in a win-lose situation. You're either going to prove that they do or you're going to prove that they don't. And either way, you're either going to win or you're going to absolutely lose. But if you're married to finding the truth and figuring out what is going on, then no matter what you find on down the road and what gets discovered by other teams, you're going to be able to go, yes, that's awesome. I can now explain this aspect of the paranormal. Yes, I now know what's going on when this happens to me. Or when somebody comes to me with this story, I can now explain that to them. And that's just something that we've kind of come to find out just a couple years ago, that we need to be married to finding the truth, not trying to prove one point. And as Dylan was saying, a professional appearance goes a long way as well.
Absolutely. So one thing is your social media presence and just the way that you present yourselves. You want to keep it cleaned up. Quality over quantity is kind of the rule on this one. Don't just share everything that you can just to have something on your social media to broadcast to people. Don't just stand around taking a bunch of pictures of your cat looking off into the distance. Like, oh, look, looking at a ghost. That's just one of the things that's going to make people, they're not going to follow you. They're going to say, okay, they're just full of crap. Also, another important thing is we do this too all the time. We were doing it last night. The jargon that we use, the language that we use in paranormal investigation. It's really easy to talk about, oh, we have an EVP, we've got this EMF meter, all this stuff's going off. You want to kind of take a moment because it's really easy to throw those terms out there and it sounds cool and it sounds scientific and it sounds like you know what you're talking about, right? So people are like, oh, wow, okay, it must be right. Okay, let's take a step back. Let's kind of explain what we're doing, okay? Here's this EMF meter, it's electromagnetic fields. This is what we use this for. This is why we use it. And just kind of go into a little bit more detail, talk about what we do, why we do it, and just really give people a better understanding of everything other than instead of just like kind of a reason to blindly listen to you and accept what you're saying.
There's an old phrase that says, if you can't convince them, confuse them. Well, in the field of paranormal, that doesn't really work because if you're just confusing people, you're going to lose credibility. You're going to lose followers. Nobody's going to want to follow you. If your social media stream, which is supposed to be dedicated to paranormal research, is suddenly just filled up with like these little photos of your cat just staring off, or like a photo of an empty room going, oh, is there a ghost in here? People are going to kind of lose interest in following you because they're not learning anything. They're seeing your cat, and like your cat's just kind of staring off in the distance. Okay, yeah, there might be a ghost, but there's nothing in it for me. I'm not learning anything from this. So try to be focused about what you post, and like we said, quality over quantity. Don't just flood your stream to try to get stuff going out there constantly. Get the good stuff out there. The stuff that when people look at that, they go, oh wow, I want to know more about this. I want to reach out to this team. I want this team. Like, I'd love to go out with this team and learn about the paranormal from these guys. And if you go to our social media pages, you'll see that there are sometimes a couple months at a time where we don't post anything because we don't have anything to post. We might find like a funny little meme about the paranormal that we'll post just to get kind of like the laugh, and just once in a while make sure something's popping up. But you're not going to see us just like post like a photo of nothing from an investigation going, oh yeah, way back when we went here, this is just a photo of it. We're going to try to post something going, in this location we had these experiences. We couldn't figure it out because this, and this. We have this video on our YouTube channel. Check out the link in our description so that you guys can go see it for yourselves.
Yeah. Obviously, we're all here for fun. Have fun. Like I said, we share memes, we share jokes, all that stuff. Have fun, just don't go overboard. Don't post 10 things a day, every day. And then the last thing, do we have it on the slide? The last thing is really your efforts towards credibility kind of benefit everyone in the field. If you are being credible, people are going to look at you and say, okay, awesome, let's find other people that are credible. The field is moving forward. There are people out there that are treating this seriously and are actually searching for the truth. Or if you're that team A and you're blowing up social media feeds with nothing, you're posting stuff that's maybe very obviously not paranormal, They're going to look at you
Claiming
and they're going to
their
say,
evidence.
that's every ghost hunter is like that. You know, everybody's on TV getting possessed every week. Everybody's posting a bunch of crap on their social media. So I'm just going to just ignore this whole thing.
There's a large bias amongst the general population who's not involved with this against the paranormal field. And there's too many ghost hunting teams out there that just go to a place just to like smoke weeds and get the scare at night, and then they try to post it. And people are like, what is this? These people, they're getting high on drugs, they're getting drunk before they do this. This is not paranormal that they're experiencing. And then that extends over to the rest of the field. They see another ghost hunting team that might be absolutely serious and totally credible about what they're doing, but because they already got that bad taste in their mouth from the other team that they were exposed to, they're going to think and apply that experience to every other team that has a ghost hunter or paranormal investigator in it. So your efforts in the field of paranormal research don't just apply to you, it also has an overarching effect on the whole rest of the field of paranormal research and investigation as well. And as Dr. Doug Kelly, one of my professors when I went to class, said, once you lose your credibility in the field of paranormal research, it's next to, if not impossible, to get it back. So just keep that in the back of your mind as you do this stuff, as you present evidence, as you talk to other people about what you're experiencing. And now we're going to jump into critical evidence review. And how do credibility and critical evidence review go hand in hand? So you have evidence review. You've gone out into the field. You've spent all night at Waverly Hill Sanatorium. You have 40 hours worth of video. You have 50 hours of audio that you have to go through. And now you're going,
If you're lucky, it'll be that small of an amount.
if you're lucky. A lot of people hate it. A lot of people love it. We love it because this is now the chance for you to go through and try to find those moments, relive those moments where something happened that's going to juke your memory. And you can be like, oh, I remember when that happened. That was so cool. And you're also going to be able to go back and find the things that your camera caught or that your digital recorder caught that you didn't know in the moment. And instead of just telling you guys just what to look for, we're going to tell you how to go in depth to make sure that you're giving a credible review, an incredible presentation of what you guys caught.
All right, so sort of a checklist of sorts for the critical evidence review. First off, do you have a process that you use to analyze your media? Is that process explained? Do you go into specifics with each and every piece that you're showing? Do you allow others to analyze and give you feedback? Basically, this is about building a group of people that you trust. A lot of our stuff we've sent to 3-4 other teams. We've sent to people who don't believe in the paranormal. Just earlier before we gave the class, we had half a dozen people in here that we were showing a couple of the videos and talking to them about. That's, I think, really big. A lot of people just kind of hoard all of their evidence, hoard all of their media, and I'm just going to post this, everyone see it all at the same time. But then there are also people who get that feedback. And maybe someone in your group will say, oh, I've had that happen to me. This is what I figured out. This is what caused this to happen. And you're like, oh, you know what? That's what happened. That's just a lens flare. And then be very careful. In fact, don't just be careful about this. Don't do this. You claim something, this 100% evidence ghost exists, okay? Then, if you backtrack through the process and you're like, oh, that's that lens flare again, that's that piece of dust, then you're stuck having to go back and say, oh, hey, this thing that was 100% absolute proof of the paranormal? No, it's a camera trick. My bad.
So, Dylan kind of went into detail about the bottom two, and skipped over the top two pretty quickly. But, so what we mean by use a process to analyze the media evidence that you have. When you're going through and listening to a digital recorder, when you hear something, do you go back and analyze that just by re-listening to that piece of audio on your digital recorder? Or do you go back and try to find another digital recorder that was running at the time, a camera that was running at the time, and verify it with the other devices that you had going too? Because the reason we decided to give a talk like this is because earlier this year during one of our investigations, we had a couple experiences that we couldn't explain in the moment. It's like, wow, this is amazing. We caught these amazing footsteps. We caught this amazing like music-like sound that we can't explain where it came from in this building. And we were so stoked to get back, listen to that, and then just post it to share with the world to hear. Like, we were at this location, we caught this, check this out, it's amazing. And we're going to give you a case study in a little bit, let you guys hear that audio, and then we're going to go through the steps that we did to figure out that, oh hey, that wasn't exactly paranormal. That was somebody else in the group. So we came that close to posting a couple pieces of evidence and saying that this was something that we couldn't explain, that if we hadn't gone through our process of looking at every other angle, all the cameras, all the other digital recorders that we had running to verify what we had caught, we would have shot ourselves in the foot, and we would not be able to stand up here today telling you guys, be credible, because we would have lost a lot of that ourselves. So have a process. When you capture something on video, when you capture something on an audio recorder, go back and go, okay, hey, we had a video camera running at that time when we caught this EVP. Let's see if that captured that EVP as well. Go back and watch that video. While watching that video, you might see, oh, somebody else in the group whispered to somebody else something that the digital recorder captured because it was closer to them than it was to the camera. But because you didn't hear it, you're reviewing the audio, you hear this voice that comes out of nowhere, and nobody marked it like you're supposed to do when you're investigating. But even we forget to make marks on audio review on video as well. But when you go back and you watch the video, you see, oh, that's not a spirit voice, that's not a ghost, that's team member X talking to team member Y. So now we've nixed that, we know that's not paranormal. And then you can keep going. Or you go back and you watch the video camera and you see that everybody's standing still, nobody's talking. The video camera doesn't capture any audio, but at that second, that digital recorder picked up this voice. It's like, okay, we can't explain where this came from. We watched the video, we watched all the different camera angles, we listened to all the different digital recorders in the room at the same time. At that point in time, that digital recorder was the only thing that captured this voice, this anomalous sound. This is something that we believe to be paranormal. We cannot explain where this came from. And then you can share that to your social media, you can share it to YouTube, Facebook, and be like, hey, check out this awesome voice that we cannot explain where it came from. We did, and then you can go into explaining your process either on like a voiceover, you can do it on video, or you can just type it out. We captured this piece of evidence that we can't explain. This is what we think it is. This is what we did to analyze it, to make sure that it wasn't something else, somebody else in the group. What are your thoughts?
Yeah.
And then, like Dylan said, you allow others to analyze and give feedback. Build a network of people that you trust, other paranormal teams, other investigators, family members, friends, people who don't believe in the paranormal. And when you capture something and you've gone through your analysis process and you can't explain it, send it to them with the explanation of what was going on at the time, where you were, what you think it is, and what you did to analyze it to be able to try to explain it as being something natural. And then allow them to watch it and come back and say, hey, this is what we think it might be, or they might come back and go, wow, we can't explain that, that's something amazing. And then you know, then that's when you know you've caught something really good that is 99%, I was close to the TV than I thought I was, that is 99% paranormal. And then why we say be careful about claiming something to be absolutely paranormal is if you claim something to be absolutely paranormal, you don't leave yourself any wiggle room for down the road more research to be coming out and more experiences to have happened that might end up explaining that to be something that's not paranormal.
Yeah.
Or you might learn something later down the road that goes, oh hey, I remember when I experienced that. Oh no, I said that was absolutely a ghost, I said that was absolutely paranormal, and that's actually just the way the light was hitting the camera because of how the lenses work or how the filters work that I was using at the time. Oh no. Then you have to backtrack and you have to go back and be like, then you have to apologize. And nobody wants to apologize for saying, hey, look at this piece of evidence, this is a ghost, and be like, well, it's actually not.
Yeah.
So always leave yourself room and say something like, we believe this to be, or we think that this is this. That way, later on down the road, if the evidence and the research is able to prove 100% beyond a shadow of a doubt that that is paranormal, then you can be like, hey, we caught this, we thought it was this before, this new evidence validates our claims, this is what we caught. Or you can go back down the road if evidence and research proves that it's not paranormal and has a natural explanation. You can go back and be like, hey, so we thought we caught this. This is really cool, but let's explain why this isn't paranormal. New research has come out that explains that this is X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
So now anybody that goes back and watches that video who wants to get into the paranormal can watch and learn from you and go, hey, if we experience that, or if somebody we know experiences that, we know how to explain it. We know that that's not something paranormal that we should be showing as evidence.
Yeah. And Daniel mentioned that we almost posted those pieces of evidence that we thought. And one thing I don't like, we like to talk about what we've learned in the decade that we've been doing this. We like to kind of hold classes and talks and whatnot. And one thing I don't like in these sorts of situations is seeming like we're standing up here, you know, this is what to do, this is what we do, we've never made mistakes, listen to us. And that's definitely not the case. You can go back on our YouTube channel, and one of our very first videos, the title has been amended to show that we debunked one of our videos that we posted of evidence, and we later figured out through watching it again that it was just lightnings. So not only do we get close to making mistakes and catch ourselves, but we have made these mistakes in the past. So this
And
is
when you get started in this field, you have a little bit more leeway from the general population.
Yeah.
You guys are just starting out, starting to figure things out and learn things for yourself. So if you post something like at the very beginning, people aren't going to be as critical of you as if you've been doing it for 4, 5, 6, 10, 20 years. Because that far down the road, if you post something, they're going to expect you to know what you're doing, to have made those mistakes, and to be learning from your mistakes. And then, since we're starting to get close on time, we're going to give you a couple case studies. And our apologies on the first bits of audio that we show. It's a little bit quieter than we expected it to be, but we'll be posting all these to YouTube. We'll be posting this talk to YouTube with the enhanced audio that you guys can listen to. But if we can get a little bit quiet, we're going to play this first piece of audio evidence for you, and then we'll go through the process that we used to figure out how it wasn't paranormal.
Does it sound like somebody was walking in here? It kind of sounded like footsteps. Did you hear that?
So that's a little hard to hear. I was using an older digital recorder that we have. The microphone capsule's not that good, but it's the one that I had on me, so I was trying to do a quick EVP session. I had headphones on, was listening to my camera's audio, and then our good friend JT was sitting about this far away from me as well in this room at the location we were investigating. So I'm sitting there listening, and all of a sudden I hear like this thump thump sound. It's like, did you hear that? It sounded like footsteps. And JT goes, no, because he was trying to figure something out that he was seeing on his screen, and then I hear this thump thump thump. Like, did you not hear those footsteps? And so I was stoked that I just caught these footsteps, and I'd heard them through my camera's audio. I'm like, okay, if I'm hearing them through my camera's audio, my digital recorder probably caught it too. So the first thing I did when I got back, got all the media backed up, was pulled up the digital recorder and went back and listened. And if you guys go back and listen to this with headphones, you'll hear like a thump 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 that sounds like footsteps. And we were stoked. I'm like, guys, check this out. I sent the audio clip to them all. I'm like, we caught those footsteps. And then I'm like, wait a minute. I heard that through my camera's audio at the time. That means my camera captured it too. I can make a video of this. I don't just have to show the audio. So I went back and found that clip on my camera. And this is what the camera clip showed.
Did it sound like somebody was walking at you? It kind of sounded like footsteps. Did you hear that?
No, I'm not hearing it. I'm looking at something else.
Oh. Did you not hear like that clunk, clunk, clunk?
So I'm listening to my camera's audio. And all of a sudden, those first two footsteps I'm not hearing, but I'm hearing JT talking, kind of under his breath to the side. I'm like, oh. So those first two were just JT talking, or the footsteps happened underneath him, and I just didn't hear him talking. But then the next three sounded legitly like footsteps again. I'm like, sweet, this validates at least the last three sounds I heard were footsteps. Then like, JT was sitting in that room with me too with his camera, and he has a better microphone, a professional level XLR microphone plugged into his camera. I'm like, he has to have heard it because his microphone was pointed in the direction where the footsteps would be coming from. And the XLR shotgun mic that he was using is directional, so it's going to pick up the sound in front of it a lot louder than anything to the side. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to listen to JT's audio and validate it from two different camera perspectives. And I'll apologize ahead of time for some language. That's JT for you. This is JT's camera. That was the first thing I thought was footsteps.
Sound like somebody was walking.
Hence my response.
Kind of sound like footsteps. Did you hear that?
No, I'm not hearing it. I'm looking at something on my screen. Oh, okay.
Yeah, did you hear like that? Clunk, clunk.
Then I sat back and was like, I am so glad I did not jump the gun and share that audio clip as evidence. Because what I was hearing as footsteps was JT talking under his breath, trying to figure out what he was seeing on his camera screen. But because of the distance away from us, the distance between us, the low quality mic capsule in my digital recorder, the digital recorder captured it sounding like footsteps. But going through this process of looking at the other two cameras that were in the room with us, I was able to go, oh hey, this isn't paranormal, this is JT talking. And if I would have posted this as evidence and then come back and seen on the video later, that during my video review, that it wasn't footsteps, would have hurt. And the next case study, music, paranormal or not, this again is on that older digital recorder, so it's going to be a little quiet, but you should be able to hear this one better.
I heard that, yeah.
So I'll give you a little bit of background. At the location we're at, Kaylee, Zach, and I were on one half of the building. About 200 feet away were Dylan, JT, and Matt. It was just the 6 of us in the building investigating. Kaylee, Zach, and I heard music. We radioed them, they didn't hear music. So I went back and I looked at the camera that we had going at the time.
Do you hear music?
I feel let down by the audio of the speakers of the TV. So we captured it on the digital recorder plus both cameras that we had, Zach's and mine. Like, this is awesome. I showed it to everybody. It's like, yeah, that's really cool music. And if you use headphones to listen to these videos when we post this, you'll be able to hear the music in the footsteps. Then I went back and I'm watching JT's camera. And because of the wide open space, it echoed throughout. They didn't hear music because they didn't realize what we were hearing was them making the music. So once again, it was like, I'm glad we went through a process of looking at every possible angle before we shared anything as evidence, because that would have been something else that would not have been paranormal. And we're getting short on time, I have about 5 minutes, so I'm going to show you a clip from one of JT's investigations. He's a really good friend of ours. He's been with us on a couple investigations. He's basically an honorary member of the Spirit Trackers team. He'll be showing up before too long. He was doing a solo investigation of Ashley Elementary. His channel is called Ghost Theory Crew, so if you want to check them out, they produce a lot of really good stuff and they're really credible, knowledgeable investigators. And the reason we go through so much analyzation and do so many step-by-step things is so that when we capture something as mind-blowing as what I'm about to show you, you can explain your process. And yeah, I'll just let the videos speak for themselves.
This shadow figure is insane. And as you can see, as I ran out of that room, there was nobody in sight. The shadow has a transparency to it and it only lasts on screen for about 2 frames. It is insanely fast and interestingly enough has no sound to it at all. The most interesting part about this shadow is I caught it in the reflection of a window. Blinds are lowered on the other side, so the inside isn't being interfered with at all by anything on the outside.
So he captures this mind-blowing shadow figure. He's by himself. There's 2 other janitors in this school with him just to kind of be there because of policy reasons. There's no way that's a janitor running by. There's no footsteps that he hears running by. He goes out into the hallway immediately after. It's just gone. And then in another video, he actually goes into explanation and explains the step-by-step process, showing that this isn't him faking it.
Ashley's ghost is a rare paranormal entity. To see a full figure in visible light and have it be so solid that it shows up on cameras in dark shadows is a special occurrence. To further show the lack of manipulation and the reality of this footage, I will direct back to my edit project. Normally, when footage is tampered with, a good way to tell if it's fake or not is to manipulate the composition of the image. You see, if two photos, or in this case videos, are shot at different times, each individual image will have certain properties that when you manipulate them will cause different results, thus making a fake image of something stand out from the original image. As you can see, when I manipulate the image of the raw footage by messing with its color correction settings, the image of the ghost is embedded to the footage with consistent and matching changes. You can see the image has consistent environmental changes with nothing standing out from its surroundings. Thus, this is another way to show that Ashley Elementary has a ghost, and I caught it.
So with a lot of video, we have a big background in video production. We do a lot of filmmaking and video work. So he goes into his explanation showing how he did not embed this into the footage. He didn't take a second video. He didn't take an After Effects or Photoshop file and put that over the video. Because if you overlaid it, when you change all the properties in the video, the two different files are going to have completely different properties. So if you change the color on one, and it's all one video file, the different properties in the overlaid video are going to change totally different to everything else around it. So he goes into his explanation showing that, hey, this is the video clip straight from the camera. I'm messing with these settings. It's all happening within one video clip. There's nothing to show that this was overlaid. And his second video that he posted explaining things is kind of what we were talking about earlier about, are you explaining your process to people? So because that was such a mind-blowing piece of evidence, he took the time to go back and film a complete other video clip to go back and explain the process, explaining what he was doing to make sure that that was actually there and to show that that's not something that he just added in. And then this is a video clip that we caught, and if you want to watch this side of the screen here, we can't explain that, but we caught it. And in this next video, to show that none of us were there, that couldn't have been any reflections from our lights, it couldn't have been us walking by, it couldn't have been a shadow from any of us, I synced up all 4 cameras that were going at the time to show everybody where we all were at the time. So Dylan's by himself about 100, 150
Yes,
feet away from the rest of us.
Crazy. I don't know how that happened. Right, and it looks like there was a pilot up there.
So at that time, none of us were close by. There were 3 event coordinators there that were just kind of hanging out to let us into different locked rooms and all. About a minute later, Zach, Haley, and I ran into him, and we were talking to him and found out that they were all up at the front desk at this time. Dylan was walking through a wide open space between some of the simulator exhibits in the back and the planes in the main part of the hangar in this area. So this is a wide open space where there shouldn't be anything there. And at that particular location, they have to have emergency lights on in different areas. So there's enough ambient light that we can see things around us with our own eyes. It's not pitch black. So if that thing existed in the visible light spectrum, if it was there walking towards us, if it was somebody in the group, Dylan would have seen that and been like, whoa, what was that? And been able to notice that himself. The fact that he just keeps walking by and it's just captured on the camera, which we were shooting at infrared, we believe it was in the infrared spectrum, which is why he didn't see it. But none of us were close by. There's nothing in that area that should be moving like that. And throughout the rest of the investigation, about a dozen other times, we have people walking through with cameras. Nothing else reflects like that. And we've sent that to multiple people that we trust. We've shown it to people who don't even believe in the paranormal, and they look at that and go, all the feedback we've gotten is we don't know how to explain that. Which leads us to come to the conclusion of we don't know how to explain that either. Our professional input on that video clip, we don't know how to explain that. So in conclusion, make sure you have a process when you go through looking at your evidence. Don't just see something and go, oh, I have to post this right away. Make sure you have the step-by-step analysis of what you've done, so that way, when somebody comes up and goes, oh, well, that could have been somebody else walking by. It's like, oh, nope, look at this video that I have. I synced everything up. Nobody else is anywhere close to there. Oh, well, that was just a light reflection. Nope, all our lights are pointing different directions other than where Dylan was walking. So that way you can stay one step ahead of your critics and one step ahead of the people who are absolutely trying to prove that the paranormal does not exist. You can be like, hey, thank you for bringing that up. That's a valid point. I've already analyzed that aspect. Let me show you. Let me explain to you how that doesn't pertain to what this piece of evidence is that we caught.
Yeah. And explaining your process, talking about your process, showing your process is equally, if not more important than going through the process itself, because then you can say, I've done this, and this is what I did, and here's me doing it.
And it shows a lot more dedication and passion and professionalism to what you're doing than just going, oh, here's a clip of something possibly paranormal. Enjoy. So with that, I think we have like a minute left. Does anybody have any questions?
Hey Kathleen, so is there a certain number on the team that you find it's easier to do the investigation, or is there a maximum and you say after that it's too hard to meet variables of people moving? Have you found a number that works better than others, or is it just each location?
It's kind of each location. We've had some success having like 6 or 7 people together at a location.
Yeah.
We've also had success just being on our own in a location and having experiences. It kind of depends on how you approach the investigation. If you're being loud and obnoxious, the spirits aren't going to be as conducive or friendly as if you go in and it's just like, hey, let's just see what happens. Let's be friendly and talk to them and invite them into the space. But for like an objective investigation, we try not to go more than 4 or 5 people unless it's a really large location that we can then split up into different groups. Because once you start getting past 4 or 5 people, it starts becoming hard to be able to tell and differentiate between paranormal and anomalous sounds and shadows, or just somebody else in the group who forgets to go, oh, that was me that said that, or oh, that was me walking, that was somebody else walking by in the group.
Yeah.
It just gets too hard to be able to differentiate between the group and the paranormal. And I think we'll turn it over to who is speaking next. And we'll be around for the whole Spirit Spree, so if you guys want to meet up with us afterwards, ask us any questions. If you want to check out the evidence, we'll be happy to show you guys again. We have headphones, we can let you guys listen to it as well. So just come meet up with us. We're happy to talk to you guys, and hope you guys enjoy the rest of the Spirit Spree.
Thank you.